Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin market condition, Bitcoin dominance, and what I expect for price to generally do over the next few months. For me, I believe this is going to be some of the most crucial times, right? Because the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are going to be creating a higher low when it comes to the higher time frame for Bitcoin. So, why is that important and what do I mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we look right over here, right, we had an high, right? We had this high, then we had these bottoms over here. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we created new highs, and now overall, the next big move is to have a higher low, right? Higher low than this low over here, because that means we are creating a staircase to the upside, which means we are in a uptrend. A quick lesson, right? Very quick lesson. Just pay attention. When we have higher highs and higher lows, that means we are staircasing upwards. The moment we have lower highs, right? Lower highs at this point, and then we start creating lower lows, lower than this point, that is when the market shifts. Okay, that is when the market shifts. So I do believe, I do believe we are going to be overall, generally speaking, creating higher lows in this situation before we push up again. However, that does mean that I believe the cycle is closer to an end than further. And by that, I mean most likely still another couple of months upwards to a year, because all of this takes time to play out, right? This sideways movement that we're going to be getting, this push is going to take time, then whatever top we get, and then the break of structure and the sell off is all going to still require probably at least a year. Now, I do expect that to happen. When we go onto the micro level, the one thing that I do not like are Saturdays. And the reason why I don't like Saturdays is because usually, generally speaking, right, we've seen last one of the Saturdays over here, boom, we sold off heavy. This Saturday over here, nothing really happened. We kind of just went sideways the whole entire week, which actually makes me believe, this is what I predicted earlier in March, was that near the middle to end of March, we're going to start consolidating and recovering because we are going to be most likely a rejection candle. And we can't pump up too quick because we are also ending the quarterly candle, which obviously January, February, March, it ends in March. So that is what I believe overall. But some of these Saturdays have been concerning. We had Saturday over here, and then obviously the big pump. And then the last Saturday we had that was super relevant was over here, right? It was just going sideways, and then we kind of crashed off. So most of the time, 2 out of the 4 times it was a dump. One time it was a pump, right? And the other time it was kind of sideways movement. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, right, since we are kind of having lower volatility and more sideways movement, generally speaking, I do believe this is going to be the consolidation zone, and we are looking to be going sideways before we break out. I do believe there most likely will be one more type of pullback. I don't think we are going to, create lower lows than this, but I do think it's a very high possibility of sweeping this and decently chance of sweeping this. Doing something this, having one kind of recovery, something like this, breakout, test, like that, right? Something generally like that. Because the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, right, we can see that we have a double bottom over here, a double bottom, and there is an hour institutional candle. So I would not be surprised if we enter this candle over here, sweep it, go sideways again, and then start recovering. And I would not be surprised if that would all happen within the last week of March / maybe the beginning of April. When we go and look at the 3-month candle, ladies and gentlemen, we can see for me, this is a retest candle. Why? Because the last 3 months before this, we broke out. Then, of course, it's common to have some type of pullback, some type of retest, right? Some type of retest in this zone. And then, of course, the next few months, I expect it to create a higher high. Now, we will monitor things. We will monitor things. I do think, right, we are going to be in a scenario something like this, right, where we had this 3-month candle retest, and then in this context, it created newer highs, but then the candle closes were terrible, and obviously after that we crashed. But I do think in this context, we will create at least one more higher highs, something like this, right? But instead of taking 7 months to push out, I do think we will take 3 to 4, 4.5 at most. That's what I truly believe. I believe the next 3-month candle will most likely be an expansion, and then the last 3-month candle will most likely be even further expansion, but then also maybe some type of rejection at some point. That is what I genuinely expect for Bitcoin. That is what I expect. And of course, we'll have to monitor and update you in the future. Bitcoin dominance is looking pretty solid at the moment. We generally want Bitcoin dominance to be heading up. I know there's a little bit of sell-off, up and down, consistent retest, but I do believe this is just going to create the typical flag where we kind of go down and then we break out, go like this, right? Very aggressive. I expect some aggressive Bitcoin dominance movement in a few short weeks, right? Maybe go a little bit lower. Next thing you know, we spike up, a little bit of pullback, and then we keep going, right? Probably have a little bit of a sell-off beside the 64%, right? So it goes somewhere like here, then a decent sell-off. People are probably thinking, altcoin season, and then the final pushes over those next few weeks. That is what I generally expect to be happening. I still expect for us to be going into the 69 to 70% zone all the way up here, because that is where there's a lot of price action. So it makes the most sense to go off of this area to then sell off and create something very similar to what we had in the last cycle, right? If I get my arrow very quickly, right, go down, sideways movement, and then a massive sell-off, right? Go down like over here, the exact same way we had it, sideways movement, crash, altcoin season. That is altcoin season, ladies and gentlemen. This huge crash right over here is altcoin season. Even over here, altcoins started to rise a little bit more consistently, but this main dump was the altcoin season. So, things are looking good. Things are consolidating, which is exactly what we want. When things kind of start to slow down, like generally super slow down, that is when we start seeing reversal signs, because this is how the markets work, right? You have the sell, you have the sideways, and then you have the pump. At this current moment, we are most likely somewhere here, right? So I do expect a little bit more sideways movement before we start recovering in these markets. But yeah, that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I will talk about total market cap, right? I'll talk about total market cap. Look, this for me, it could have one final pullback. I'm not too convinced personally, right? There is a little bit more imbalance. The weekly candles don't look that strong, so we could have a little bit of a pullback, but generally speaking, with Bitcoin and the market cap, I expect it to be overall sideways movement. Even if it goes down, it should not go down too much, and is going to be the same exact factor, right? I do believe once we break out from the 3.8 trillion, I would expect another 1 to 2 trillion. Like the way we broke out from here, from these bottoms, we were at, let's just say 2.25, and we got all the way to 3.70. So that's 1.5 more trillion. If that were the case, right, if we were to get another 1.5, we would be in roughly this zone over here, right? This zone over here. And that would be very nice for us, right? I did expect this market to potentially be going and topping around the 6 trillion market cap. And, as of this current moment, we are on track. Of course, we could push higher. We could have a double top where we kind of go sideways and then have one more big rally before an official crash, maybe in the beginning of next year. But for me and my plan, I'm looking to be cashing out at the next rally when altcoin season officially has its first pump, because the thing is, a second pump is never guaranteed. That is, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.